Welcome to Serial Part 2 for December 2024. So we're continuing directly. We're going to black and white. It's digital, but I thought it was interesting to start the second part. That's using the Leica M240 camera, which is this rangefinder, pretty getting old camera. But what I found interesting, the picture here, it was during a DJ set from Björk, the Icelandic musician, at the Smekkleysa shop. It's a record shop. It also has a DJ set. There's often concerts. It's on 2 levels. There's also a bar. They make good coffees, have good beer. And those 2 pictures, it's basically taken from the same place using a Jupiter 8 50mm f2 lens. And I thought going to black and white because it's an old sensor. The colors were not that interesting. I thought it was better in black and white, actually. It gave a better feel to the ambiance that evening, that DJ set from Björk and from her DJ friends. Really cool moments. And I wasn't sure which one was the most interesting, the one where Björk is actually moving with this motion blur, which gives more livelihood to the whole scene, in my opinion, or the more traditional documentary style moment. I think it's the same exposure time, by the way, but it's just that the DJ doesn't move as much on the right. Anyways, I think it's interesting. I don't do that often, but I think it's interesting sometimes to go to black and white. Coming back to color, that's on the left, that's a 35mm f2.0 Summicron lens on an M240 camera. That's on the road to Sellfoss, southwest of Iceland. And here I was interested in the colors in the low light. Not only the lens gives you some interesting color characteristics, but the sensors, it's good to know your sensors. I've talked a lot about that. The low lights you're going to get, if you compensate in post-prod, you will get different colors. Like here, this sort of greenish color of the low lights in high contrast situations on that specific camera sensor combination. And it's independent of the lens. It's something else. It adds something else. Like different films will give you different characteristics. And on the right, that's SL2. It's a more modern sensor. You get better colors in low light zones of the picture, as you can see with this huge mountain in the background. That's in Sellfoss, with this bridge crossing the river. I kind of like the massive mountain size behind and this really cold feel of it and the warmth. And that was with a Jupiter 8 50mm f2.0 lens, which is warmer than the Summicron. We'll see some examples later. Here, both images are done with the Leica SL2 using the Jupiter 8 50mm f2 lens. The one on the left, that's Sellfoss, this frozen river, or on the right, that's simply during the night. Most of the day is actually night, but they're working on this new construction site west of Reykjavik, near Grundy. Or here, that's the Jupiter 8 lens on the M240. So what I was saying before, the color characteristics are going to be slightly different because of the sensor and the way you push it. I will go for another example later. But I thought it was interesting to have that grain, low lights grain with this small toy tractor on the left. I like the ambiance. That's in Reykjavik, one of those backyards. Or in this high contrast situation in Seltjarnarnes, in Vesturber, west of Reykjavik, one of the neighborhoods, the frozen shore with the sunset, kind of like the rendering of this combination. Still here, same combination. You see those green low lights on the left, on the image on the left, with that's really the characteristics of pushing this sensor of this M240 Leica sensor. So I really recommend, if you have an old sensor, it's actually interesting. You get something else. And on the right, I think increasingly AI does a good job of reworking the noise and the contrast and the artifacts. So here I've used a little bit, using Lightroom, I've tried to diminish a little bit of those low light artifacts. And it works pretty well. It's pretty transparent. But here's the example I was talking about. That's the same scene with the M240 camera with the Summicron 35mm f2 lens. I'm exposing to 1/4 of a second on the right and 1/30 of a second onto the left, and I'm increasing the ISO. It's not interesting per se to go into the details of those settings, but it's just underexposing basically the sensor on the whole left and compensating after, or basically having the good exposition, the good combination on the right. Here's the same. It's just to give you an idea of how different the results are, how you're going to lose the dynamic range in the color balances and color range of your low light images, where the image is in low lights, and it's going to go to blue, for example, here on the far left. And it's going to be a little bit magenta in the middle, in the in-between situation, or closer to reality on the far right. What do you want to say? I think it's interesting to use what you want best. It doesn't need always to be clean. I actually kind of prefer the picture far left. And maybe I could have gone with black and white, like at the beginning of this series. It could have been interesting too. Here using Jupiter 8 lens, going to something else, the SL2, not that much low light grain and distortion. That's the picture on the left. That's one of those places where they bring the fish from the boat on the right. That's a picture on the right. That's in Gondi, in the center of Reykjavik. It's actually after they disembarked the fish, but I was trying to document this a very cold night. But yeah, really interesting to go around and try to catch a little bit of the soul of the moment. Or here, just that's another harbor in Reykjavik, far further up north, more industrial, trying to find some interesting scenes by night. Most of the day is night at that time of the year, but still, I was trying to tell some stories, and I think it's also a good practice. The process is nice of going to the adventure. You trying to find something to tell a story. Here, same equipment, Jupiter 8. I'm kind of finishing a review about on this lens. I've been using it for years, but I think it's a cheap alternative with a really interesting rendering. That's on the SL2. That's near Keflavik, the international airport. It's in the morning, and it was interesting to see the sun through the clouds, and this industrial space kind of looked like if it was burning or blowing up. And I took the picture, both portrait and landscape. I think landscape really works better here. I didn't put the portrait version on this video, but still, it's try experiment. And here again, still in that industrial place region. Same equipment, trying to figure out how to document, tell stories, transmit the feeling you have when you're there. Here again, in that same region, depending also on how the sun goes through, you will have very different color renderings. It's going to be warmer when the sun's out, colder, of course, when it's kind of hidden behind the clouds. Really go to the adventure and go try to take pictures in every situation if you can. Here we're going to using another equipment. That's I've been using basically all those two cameras most of the time this month, the M240. But here it's with a Summitar Leica retractable 50mm f2 lens, which is kind of hazy. Didn't look like it until I put it on, and I realized it was, even if it's slightly hazy in high light situation, it's going to do that weird thing as it does on the left. It's very precise, but it's got this haze, which to me is a little bit too much. But as for the picture on the right, that's both pictures are taken from an airplane. The picture on the right, that's near Zurich, while the one on the left is in Germany. But I think it works actually. This haziness kind of works for this those rays of sun going through the clouds in this Zurich region, so basically the Alps behind. But yeah, picture on the left doesn't work when there's too much contrast. In my opinion, it sort of makes it too apparent. It's too much. I might do a video about opening a lens and cleaning it up. That could be an idea. I have a few lenses like that have been hazed. But we'll see. And on the right, that's me having problems in December. That was filmed. That's using an Olympus XA3 camera. So it's a 35mm f3.5 pictogram focus lens. Lens and camera. And using Washi S50 ISO film. I had a problem. It's a very sensitive, it's very thin. This film is very fragile, and I get problems sometimes rolling it. So I only had 12 shots on this 36 shot film, which is sad because it's a pretty rare film. But actually, I kind of like, as you can see, the perforations kind of overlap. It made kind of a mess, and the resulting pictures are interesting. So here was this tree with the flash. I know I was using the flash. Or here, that's the boat we saw before in the harbor, this fishing boat. I'm doing it handheld, so it moves a little bit, but it gives a good indication. It's a film that was used for sound recording, so it's very contrasty. And I really like the rendering, actually. It makes it more real in some ways. Or here, we're going through pictures I took and that we've seen already. That's Sellfoss on the left. Handheld, so it moves a little bit because 50 ISO wasn't enough in that situation for something really steady. My hand was moving a little bit, but the results are interesting. Or on the right, that's with the flash, so it's in focus. There's no motion artifact. And with the flash, that's an A16 module. It's the most powerful module Olympus did for those kind of cameras. I think it's interesting. The results was interesting. Artistically speaking, there's something out of it. It was snowing. But yeah, we're finishing this month on this weird note, but hopefully it was interesting to you, entertaining. If you have questions, suggestions, propositions, don't hesitate as usual. And yeah, catch you next year.